1, 2, 3, action.
Imagine riding down a mountain road hitting speeds of over 50 miles an hour. You manage to pull over to the side of the road and you have to change your tire. You can't just walk down the mountain. You need some materials such as a new tube, a tire lever, and some form of how to pump up the tube. You either need a floor pump, a compressor, or CO2 cartridge. After having been racing for over 7 years and being a California and Nevada state champion, I know a thing or two about changing tubes. I've had my fair share of changing tubes. First step is to take off the wheel. You just undo the quick release, and some wheels you have to undo the bolt, but either way it works the same way. Next you have to deflate the tube if it's not already deflated. Make sure it's flat. Next you grab your tire lever, get your tire lever under your tire, and undo the tire. Just work it back and forth and make sure it comes all the way off. Make sure you go all the way around the wheel so it comes all the way off. Next, take out the tube from the tire and it should just pop right out. If it's not easy, then just pull it. It's rubber, you won't hurt it. Pull out the valve stem from the tire. After doing so, feel around the inside of the tube to make sure there aren't any sharp objects that cause a flat. If you don't feel or see anything, then the object is still probably in the old tube. Next, grab the new tube, put the valve stem in the valve hole in the rim, and stuff the tube into the rim, in between the tire and the rim. Okay. After doing so, pump up the tube a little bit with whatever you're using to blow up the tube, whether it be CO2, pump, or a compressor, just to give the tube a little body so you don't pinch the tube. Okay. Next you're going to roll the tire back onto the rim. If there's too much air, if there's too much air in the tube, let out a little bit of air. You just roll the tire back onto the rim, making sure you don't pinch the tube. The last part might be a little tricky, so you might need a little muscle. After it's all the way on, roll the tire to make sure that the tube is all the way on. After rolling it, you're making sure that there aren't any, that the tube isn't being pinched between the tire and the rim. After doing so, go ahead and pump up the tube to about half of the recommended PSI that's on the side of the tire. For this tire, it's about 120 PSI, so pump it up to about 60. After pumping it up, you want to spin the tire and see if it's beaded properly. Beading just means to see if the tire is sitting properly inside the rim. If it's not beaded properly, you just want to deflate the tube and roll it back on to see if it's deflated. See if it's inflated properly. This one looks alright, so I'll keep pumping it up. Pump it up to the full PSI, which for this tire is 120. Make sure you close the valve stem so no air escapes. And pop back on the rim. Just the reverse way of how you pull it off. This process gets a little easier after every time you get a flat. After racing after so many years, I've gotten used to this process, and you will too. When you're riding back to class, or back to your dorm, or back to your house, whatever you're doing, you can change your flat and tell your friends how to do it.